This past weekend, the city of Chicago experienced a chaotic outburst as numerous teens had gathered in downtown Chicago and conducted mob violence. Violence that left cars and local businesses destroyed. Thank God no one had died. However, it was reported that 2 teens were injured during the shooting. Now, this type of action and behavior is definitely despicable and should not be tolerated. However, once again, this is Chicago. So unfortunately, it's expected because, this is basically what they want. You only tolerate what you're willing to accept. And who's willing to tolerate this? None other but their, mayor-elect, Brandon Johnson.
Brandon Johnson, he's the newly elected progressive mayor. He is saying don't demonize them because they're starved of opportunity. This is what he said. In no way do I condone the destructive activity that we saw in the Loop and Lakefront this weekend. It is unacceptable and has no place in our city. However, it is not constructive to demonize youth who have otherwise been starved of opportunities in their own communities. Our city must work together to create spaces for youth to gather safely and responsibly under adult guidance and supervision. Yeah, where were the parents? To ensure that every part of the city remains welcome for both residents and visitors.
So he states that he does not condone this type of behavior. However, at the same time, he's not willing to condemn or denounce this type of behavior as he gives a reason of understanding of why it happened. This, my friend, is a simp mayor. Very passive and unassertive. I mean, his wife must really run the household. I mean, based on the statistical data and constant news reports of violence and various criminal acts, is now where Chicago is renamed as chi-raq. So you would think that citizens of the city and also of the county, will elect representatives that are hard on crime and enforce laws, that will protect its people and local businesses. But no, instead Chicago voted for a guy that has some of the most progressive ideologies that to me is beyond idiotic.
The real answer is, how do we make sure, the question is, how do we make sure that people can eat? Look, no one is going to condone behavior that quite frankly speaks to a level of desperation.
So you're not condoning looting.
I'm saying that people are acting out of desperation. We don't want a society that is acting out of desperation, but you have to pay attention to the cries that people have.
So you're not condoning looting.
There's no way to embrace that. What I'm saying is, you can't condone the looting that corporations continue to do every single day when they take tax dollars from black, brown, white folks all over the city of Chicago so that they can turn a profit.
On the topic of defunding police, in 2020, you said, quote, defunding this failed system of incarceration and policing was not just admirable, but necessary, end quote. Do you acknowledge making those recorded and documented statements, yes or no?
I'm not going to defund the police.
If you could answer the question, though.
Yeah.
Do you acknowledge making the statements that I just read by quote, yes or no?
What I've acknowledged is the fact that there are people who are incredibly frustrated.
Mr. Johnson, if I could get you back to the question,
of course.
It's solely yes or no. Do you acknowledge making those statements?
Look, you've
yes
already quoted. What I'm saying is, though,
so you
is that it provides some
statements?
Of course, I'm acknowledging it, but I want to make sure that we have context to
opportunity to answer the question, but
yeah.
I just want to move on to the next part of it.
To be quite frank with you, I didn't issue a lot of homework for students. That was my own way of sort of rebelling against the structure. I don't think I ever gave a kid an F. I don't know how a student sits in front of you and fails. I know some professors might find that, this is slightly troubling.
So this man did not hold his students accountable by giving them the grade they deserve, which would be an F. He doesn't condemn looting, and at one point wanted to defund the police. Wow. Now, I know Brandon Johnson is the mayor-elect, so he hasn't taken office yet until I believe next month. But based on his outlook on things, he's starting to make Lori Lightfoot look like a godsend. And that's pretty hard to do. And this to me got me really thinking, why is Chicago so liberal? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but to me, the shit makes no sense. Seriously. Until you do a little bit of history. Now look, Chicago is registered as the 3rd largest U.S. city behind New York City and Los Angeles, with about 2.7 million people. And although Black Americans account for approximately 13% of the U.S. population, in Chicago, that number is dwarfed to 29.5%. That's Black American. So that's a huge voting bloc that must be attended to. And up until the 1988 presidential election between George W. Bush and Michael Dukakis, Illinois has always been a red state. And although Cook County, where Chicago is located, had predominantly voted Democrat, it was relatively close, with a Republican getting about 40% of the vote. But since 1992, when Bill Clinton ran, the city, the county, and the state all went blue and stayed blue. And a big part of that was who else? Barack Obama.
Same old place, sweet home Chicago.
After the 1988 presidential election, where Jesse Jackson, a hometown Chicago hero, had lost in the primaries to Michael Dukakis, a voter registration organization called Americans for Civic Participation was reorganized into a new foundation called Project Vote, which was created to mobilize underrepresented voters who predominantly were black, to be more engaged in the voter process, i.e. vote Democrats. And a key person in this voter registration drive was Barack Obama, who had just recently at that time graduated from Harvard Law School and was about to start his career in politics in the state of Illinois. Look, I personally don't agree with a lot of Barack Obama's policies or his outlook on how America is supposed to be. But on this right here, I have to give my respect. Respect for the work, the work he put in as a community organizer and to get a lot of black people to vote Democrat. I mean, it was ingenious. The man recruited hundreds of volunteers from black churches, community groups. He put together a fundraising committee supported by black business leaders. He marketed on ads, on the radio, billboards, and he even got volunteers to go door to door like Jehovah's Witnesses to not only get people to vote, but even provide transportation to the polls. And ever since then, Chicago has been voting Democrat in high numbers. And what comes with that type of loyalty? Destruction and chaos. Another person behind this disorder is the district attorney, Kim Foxx, who supports progressive ideas like criminal justice reform. And that's of no surprise since she's backed by billionaire George Soros. So now that we know that why Chicago predominantly votes for Democrats like Lori Lightfoot and now Brandon Johnson, who are all soft to crime, and just watch as the city, self-destructs like it did the past weekend. So my last question, when was it stopped and be fixed? And of course, that's a rhetorical question because why fix something that apparently they want to continue? Hell, even the people apparently are okay with it because they continue to vote for it. But things, unfortunately, in my opinion, will most likely get worse as businesses are starting to leave in droves. As it was just announced that Walmart is going to close or is closing 4 of their stores in the local area. And instead of confronting the reason for their departure, community leaders are condemning Walmart for leaving. I mean, the audacity of these people.
Wonder why?
Yes, sir.
Our communities look like they look.
Speak
That
the
we
truth.
have violence every single day.
Speak the truth.
It is just not on us. It is on the corporate citizens that come into our community and ravage our community. And Walmart, you should be absolutely ashamed of yourself.
Ain't before God.
You are the reason that our communities lack the investment that they have. We should not have to go out of our communities to find jobs. We should not have to go out of our communities to get medicine. We should not go out of our communities to be able to shop. We should be able to do all of this in our community.
Right here.
We deserve.
Yo, this is beyond foolishness, man. I mean, it's like a toxic relationship. You know what? That's exactly what it is. Any business that continues to stay in Chicago, especially after losing millions of dollars, is in an abusive relationship. Because if they decide to leave, like how Walmart is, the resident is going to be mad at you at Walmart, not at their local or state politicians or city officials. Amazing. I mean, Chicago is getting, what they deserve and what they voted for. And if you disagree with that statement, and especially if you're currently living in Chicago, just tell me, what am I saying is wrong?